The moment I could see again, the first thing I did was run to find my wife, Victoria, to tell her the incredible news. But I stopped outside the door of the private lounge, frozen by the conversation inside. Tori, her friend, said, "Ethan's been blind for 2 years to be with your old flame. You had Julia pretend to be you and live with him this whole time. Aren't you worried she and your husband might turn the charade into the real thing? What's there to be afraid of?" Victoria sipped her wine, her laughter unrestrained. "Your dear brother-in-law is practically asexual. As long as Julia doesn't make a move, he'll never have a single thought in that direction. Besides," she continued, "Julia has insane self-control. A literal 6 feet 2 inches model with an 8-pack once threw himself at her, and she didn't even blink. You really think she's going to seduce my husband?" The group erupted in teasing. I don't know who to feel sorry for more, Ethan or Julia. 2 absolute smoke shows sleeping in the same bed, doing nothing but talking every day. What a waste of time. Their laughter echoed in the hall. My eyes drifted to the woman sitting by herself in the center of the room, nursing a drink. Julia Reed, cool and captivating with an air of detached indifference. Yeah, leaving a woman like that untouched did seem like a waste. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. In the 2 years I was blind, Victoria had become so much colder, quieter. There was a constant, unnerving distance between us. But my blindness had crushed my confidence. Even when my gut screamed that something was wrong, I was too ashamed to say anything. As I was lost in thought, the front door of our apartment clicked open. Julia's voice, deliberately pitched low, came from behind me. "Ethan, I'm home." Julia and Victoria's voices were naturally similar. And with Julia consciously imitating her, it's no wonder I didn't notice for 2 years. I lifted my head, my unfocused gaze accidentally landing on the stunning woman before me. The renowned ice queen of New York's elite social scene. A woman who played by no one's rules. Why on earth would she agree to this ridiculous scheme with Victoria to play this part for 2 years? Well, if they loved acting so much, I'd be happy to play along. I pretended I still couldn't see, fumbling my way toward her until I could wrap my arms around her waist. "Honey, you're finally home." I pulled her in tight, resting my head gently on her shoulder. Victoria and I had been married for years, but she'd always resisted any real intimacy. Because of that, I'd long ago resigned myself to a life of quiet restraint. In the last 2 years, Julia had also maintained a careful distance. Even sharing a bed, we had never been this close. Seemingly startled by my sudden passion, Julia went rigid. Her voice was strained. "Ethan, what's gotten into you today?" I squeezed out a few tears, my voice thick with faux vulnerability. "Victoria, ever since I went blind, you haven't let me touch you, have you? Are you disgusted by me now?" Julia's expression faltered. She softened her tone to comfort me. "No, of course not. You're overthinking it. The accident 2 years ago that took your sight, it did a number on your body, too. I was just afraid you couldn't handle it. My body's fine now. I can handle it." My hands fumbled as I began unbuttoning my own shirt, pulling it off. "Honey, it's been 2 years. You must have been struggling too." Julia's eyes darted away, her voice husky. "Yeah, it's been okay." I took her hand. "So, how about we?" Before I could finish, her phone rang. "I should get this." Julia let out a breath of relief and took her phone out to the balcony. I crept to the window, listening as Victoria's lazy voice came through the speaker. "Julia, it's Mom's birthday tomorrow. I need you to swap with me for the day." Julia paused for 2 seconds. "Fine. It's been months since we switched. You need to catch me up on everything that happened with Ethan so I don't blow my cover." I could hear Victoria's friends laughing in the background. "Tori, you're juggling the one that got away and the husband you've got. Who's actually more important to you?" one of them teased. Victoria let out a scornful laugh, her voice laced with arrogance. "Please, how can Ethan even compare to Ryan? Ethan chased me for years. I couldn't get rid of him. I'm the one who finally won Ryan over. If it wasn't for his grandmother adoring Ethan, I never would have married him in the first place." I stood there listening to her words, a bitter taste in my mouth. She was right. I did chase Victoria for years. From 16 to 26, a full decade of relentless pursuit. I finally got my wish and married her. But the woman who shared my bed every night was her best friend. For the past 2 years, my life has been a colossal joke. That night, I insisted on holding Julia as we slept. I could feel her body was tense all night, but she still instinctively snuggled closer into my arms from time to time. When I woke up the next morning, Julia was gone. In her place, Victoria stood by the bed, dressed impeccably. She smiled. "You're awake. Get up and get ready. We're going to the matriarch's birthday gala." I stretched lazily, my voice a playful purr. "Honey, you spent the whole night running your hands over my abs while you slept. Couldn't get enough of me." Victoria's smile froze on her face, her expression turning ugly. On the drive to the Vance estate in Connecticut, she was silent, a storm cloud hanging over her. As we entered the grand hall, she forced a look of affection, linking her arm with mine and smiling brightly at the old woman on the makeshift throne. "Grandma, wishing you the happiest of birthdays to many more." Mrs. Vance was thrilled to see me, pulling me aside to chat for a long time. The party was a sea of faces. I not only saw Julia, the woman I'd held all night, but also Victoria's old flame, Ryan Sinclair. Ryan's gaze fell on me, a mixture of disdain and mockery. I pretended not to see, ignoring him completely. Halfway through the party, I went to the restroom. As I came out, I saw Ryan walking straight toward me. The moment he passed, there was a splash. He'd thrown his entire glass of red wine over my head. "Oh, whoops. So sorry, my hand must have slipped." I calmly picked up the janitor's mop from the bucket by the door, lifted it, and swung it squarely at his face. "Ah, Ryan!" he shrieked. "Ethan Cole, what the hell are you doing?" I feigned a slow realization. "Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. I'm blind, you know. I was just trying to use the mop as a cane." "Did I hit you?" Ryan, now covered in dirty mop water, was furious and raised his hand to slap me. I lifted the mop and swung it at his face again. "Stop!" Two voices yelled in unison from behind me. Victoria and Julia were striding toward us, their faces grim, followed by a few members of the house staff. Ryan stumbled into Victoria's arms, crying, "Tori, your husband just hit me with a mop. You have to do something. Ethan, apologize." Victoria's voice was ice. I stumbled blindly, collapsing into Julia's arms. "Honey, I'm so sorry. I can't see. I didn't mean to. Please don't be mad at me, okay?" Victoria stood there, her face a mask of fury, her complexion turning a shade of pale green. Julia just patted my back, her voice low. "I'm not mad. Don't blame yourself." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Victoria's face darken to the color of a thundercloud. A flicker of satisfaction went through me. I pressed my face into Julia's chest and sniffled. "Honey, I'm soaked. It's so uncomfortable. Can you help me take a bath? And maybe give my back a little rub?" The hand on my back froze for a second. Julia's voice was a bit stiff. "I guess I could, Charles." Victoria's voice, sharp and laced with fury, cut through the air. "Take Mr. Cole to get changed and bathed immediately." After changing, I happened to overhear Victoria and Julia talking in the hallway. Victoria's face was dark as she questioned Julia. "Julia, I thought you weren't interested in men or any of that. Why are you reacting to Ethan?" Julia lit a slim cigarette, pausing for a moment before answering. "I'm a person, Victoria, not a saint. You put a handsome, well-built man in my bed who practically radiates pheromones. How am I not supposed to react?" Victoria looked like she couldn't believe what she was hearing, her expression souring. "But Ethan's always been so reserved. How could he?" "Julia, you have to promise me. No matter how tempted you are, you will not touch Ethan. No matter how much you two play house, he is still my husband. You remember he's your husband now." Julia blew a careless smoke ring, her expression mocking. "For 2 years, you've been off in La La Land with your dream guy. Have you cared about your actual husband for a single day?" Victoria was silent. Julia scoffed. "If you love Ryan Sinclair so much, just divorce Ethan already." "I can't. Victoria's reaction was sharp. Ethan and I grew up together. I still have feelings for him. But I chased Ryan for so long, and he finally accepted me. I don't want to let him go either. Huh. Julia stubbed out her cigarette, sneering with contempt. Pathetic. I didn't listen anymore. I turned and walked away. Victoria, you don't want to give up the one that got away, but you don't want to let go of your husband either. In what world do you get to have it all? After the party, Victoria drove me home. As we pulled up, Julia was waiting at the door. Victoria handed me off to her without a backward glance and drove away. Once inside, I went straight to the bathroom. A few minutes later, I yelled out, "Honey, I slipped and hurt my shoulder. Can you come in and put some ointment on it?" Soon, the bathroom door clicked open. Julia walked in with a tube of cream. I had a towel loosely wrapped around my waist. My hair was damp, and water was still dripping from my skin. Julia stared at me for a second, then quickly averted her gaze, busying herself by squeezing the cream on her fingers. I pretended to slip again, stumbling with a thud right into her arms. The towel slithered to the floor. Two hot bodies pressed together. The tips of Julia's ears were bright red. She tried to push me away, flustered. "Ethan, you!" I silenced her with a kiss. Julia froze for a moment, then finally gave up, struggling. Her hands moved to the back of my head to return the kiss with fiery passion. Coming up for air, my hands went to the buttons of her blouse. I whispered, "Honey, we've been married this long. It's about time we had a baby." Julia's face flushed a deeper red, her voice cracking. "Okay, whatever you want." With that, she lifted me into her arms and carried me to the bedroom. Just then, my phone rang. Julia hung it up immediately. "Aren't you going to get that?" The rest of my words were swallowed by her kiss. From the afternoon until late into the night, we were like starving wolves who just had their first taste of a real meal, relentlessly taking from each other. Sometime in the middle of the night, I heard Julia answer a call in a hushed voice. "I know. I won't seduce him. You don't trust me. Fine, then don't. Make what promise? I don't believe in that superstitious crap." After hanging up, Julia leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Ethan, why do you only love her?" I wanted to tell her that I wouldn't anymore, but I was too tired. I drifted off into a deep sleep. After that first time, it was like Julia had awakened a ravenous hunger. She was insatiable, wanting me every day. For 2 solid months, she neglected everything else, dedicating all her attention to me. As for Victoria, I heard she'd gone on vacation overseas with Ryan. I hadn't seen her in 2 months. One day, Julia wasn't feeling well, so I went with her to the hospital. Unexpectedly, we ran into Victoria and Ryan, who had just returned to the country right at the entrance. "What a coincidence," Ryan said, greeting Julia first with a saccharine, passive-aggressive tone. "My darling has had a terrible appetite lately, always feeling nauseous. I wonder if we partied a little too hard abroad, and now she's pregnant. What are you two here for?" Julia glanced at him, her tone cold. "I'm not feeling well. Ethan's here with me for a checkup." Victoria, afraid of blowing her cover, said nothing, but her eyes were glued to the red marks on Julia's neck, her face dangerously cold. I pretended I couldn't see a thing and walked past them calmly. The moment I passed Ryan, he suddenly let out a yelp and stumbled dramatically into a nearby decorative fountain. Victoria's face changed instantly, and she jumped into the water to pull him out. Ryan was soaked, crying with a look of grieved injustice. "Torai, it was your husband. He pushed me. I didn't do anything to him. Why does he keep coming after me?" Victoria's face was grim as she snapped at me. "Ethan Cole, apologize to Ryan." I found it laughable. She was always like this, convicting me without even asking what happened. Why should I apologize for something I didn't do? Victoria's eyes were dark, her voice laced with ice. "If it wasn't you, who is it? Ryan was walking right past you. Did he just jump in himself? You lost your sight. Did you lose your heart too? For all these years, no matter how much I gave her, Ryan was always number one in her heart." I scoffed. "I will not apologize. That's not up to you." Victoria kicked my knee hard, forcing me to my knees with a thud. She grabbed my head, trying to force me to bow and apologize to Ryan. "Let him go." Julia rushed forward, pulling Victoria's hands away, her eyes blazing with quiet fury. "Don't touch him." Victoria gritted her teeth, her face a mask of pure rage. In the middle of the struggle, a wave of dizziness hit me. It felt like all my strength had been drained, and I started to fall backward. Before I hit the ground, 2 gasps rang out simultaneously. "Ethan!" Julia quickly caught my limp body, but Victoria snatched me from her arms. "Ethan, what's wrong? Ethan, wake up." "I'm sorry, Ethan. I shouldn't have been so harsh with you. Please wake up." Together, Victoria and Julia rushed me to the emergency room. Outside the ER, Victoria stared at Julia, her voice like frost. "Julia, explain to me what those marks all over your neck are." Julia sneered. "Mosquito bites. Is that your business, too?" A few moments later, the ER doors opened. A doctor came out, pulling down his mask. "It's nothing serious. The patient just has low blood sugar. He'll wake up soon." Just then, a nurse from the main desk called out, "Ms. Julia Reed, 6 weeks pregnant. Please come get your test results." Pregnant? Victoria stared at Julia in disbelief, looking as if she'd been struck by lightning. Julia froze for a second at the news, a flash of joy crossing her face. Victoria looked at her, her voice trembling. "The baby? Is it Ethan's?" Julia admitted it freely. "Yes, you bastard." Victoria's eyes were bloodshot. She raised her hand and slapped Julia hard across the face. "What did you tell me? You said you wouldn't seduce him. You said you had no interest in men. You lied to me." Julia wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and laughed coldly. "Victoria, you should know my personality. I'm not some kind-hearted do-gooder. If I wasn't interested in Ethan, why would I have ever agreed to your ridiculous plan and played along for so long? I treated you like my best friend, and you were after my husband. You're disgusting." Julia's face was full of scorn. "Victoria, the moment you pushed Ethan into my arms, you should have known this day would come." Victoria, blind with rage, swung at Julia again. But Julia caught her wrist and slapped her back hard. "Victoria, I've wanted to do that for a long time. You have a great husband, but you'd rather go for a piece of trash. You're pathetic. Thanks for giving Ethan to me. I'll be sure to save you a seat at the main table for the baby shower." When I woke up, 2 women with very different expressions were standing by my bed. "Ethan, you're awake?" Victoria rushed forward and grabbed my hand, her voice urgent. "How are you feeling? Does anything hurt?" I gently pulled my hand away, my voice cold. "I'm fine." Victoria paused, then spoke softly. "Ethan, the doctor said you fainted from low blood sugar. It's all my fault for not taking good care of you. When you get home, I promise I'll take good care of you." "Ah," I heard Julia's cool voice from the side. "Decided to play the good wife now. Where were you before?" I sat up, frowning in pretend confusion. "You two sound so much alike. Which one of you is my wife?" "I am," they both said at the same time. I threw off the covers, got up, and pretending to follow the sound of her voice, threw myself into Julia's arms. "Honey, did you get your test results? What's been making you feel so sick lately?" "Ethan, I'm pregnant," Julia said, her voice tinged with shyness. I froze. Victoria looked like she was about to explode. "Ethan, I'm right here. I'm your wife. She's an imposter." Her voice was grating. I frowned in disgust. "Ma'am, I may be blind, but I'm not deaf. You think I don't know the voice of the woman I live with every day? The woman I'm holding right now is my wife." Julia nodded in agreement. "That's right. Don't listen to her." Victoria was so angry her chest heaved. She raised her hand to strike again. "Julia Reed, you dare keep up this act? I'll kill you." But before her hand could connect with Julia, Julia kicked her, sending her sprawling to the floor. I issued a cold command. "Ma'am, please leave now. Don't disturb me and my wife." Victoria wanted to argue more. Julia just called 2 security guards and had her thrown out. After Victoria was kicked out, the hospital room fell quiet. I gently placed my hand on Julia's stomach, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. In there, a tiny heart was beating. I didn't know if the decision to have this child was right. Julia's voice broke my train of thought. "Ethan, I know you can see." I froze, stunned. "When did you figure it out?" Julia sat down on the edge of my bed and paused for a moment. "From the day you suddenly started being proactive with me. Ethan, we've lived together for 2 years. No matter how well you acted, I could still tell from the little things. Then why did you keep playing along with me?" Julia was silent for a long time. Finally, she gave a self-deprecating laugh. I treated it like a dream. As long as the dream didn't end, I was willing to keep it going. I wanted to ask more, but Julia changed the subject. "Ethan, this baby, what are you planning to do?" I was taken aback at first. I just wanted revenge on Victoria. I wanted to use this child to turn them against each other to make Victoria regret everything. But no matter what, the child was innocent. He was a living being inside Julia, his unformed heart beating strongly within her. I couldn't take his life. After a moment of thought, I looked into Julia's eyes and said firmly, "I want to keep this child. And don't worry, I'm going to divorce Victoria." Julia let out a sigh of relief. "Okay, thank you, Ethan." The next day, Julia was discharged from the hospital and we went home. When we opened the door, we found Victoria sitting on the sofa, her face dark, the floor littered with cigarette butts. Seeing us enter, Victoria stared coldly at Julia, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Julia, this is my house. The game is over. Please leave now." Julia said nothing. She just took my hand and asked softly, "Ethan, are you coming with me?" "Yes." I nodded without hesitation. I quickly packed a few things and was about to leave with Julia, but Victoria blocked our path. "Ethan, you can't go." Her voice was frantic. "Ethan, you can't see. She's tricking you. I'm your wife, Victoria Vance. She's an imposter. She's Julia Reed." "Victoria," I interrupted her calmly. "I can see." "What did you say?" I stared into her eyes, enunciating every word. I said, "I can see." "Victoria, my eyes have been fine for a while now. I know all about you having Julia impersonate you for 2 years, and I know all about you and Ryan Sinclair." Victoria's eyes widened in shock, her face turning deathly pale. I gave a sarcastic laugh. "Isn't my leaving a good thing? You won't have to hide anymore. You could just bring Ryan home. After all, wasn't your appetite bad because you partied too hard overseas and got pregnant?" "No." Victoria panicked, grabbing my hand and trying to explain. "Ethan, I'm not pregnant. I just ate something bad and had an upset stomach. You're my husband. How could I ever get pregnant with someone else's child?" "Huh." I didn't want to hear any more of her excuses. I shook off her hand and resolutely walked out with Julia. I moved back into the apartment I'd owned before the marriage. Julia cut back on most of her commitments to focus on her pregnancy at home. I even signed up for a baby boot camp to learn how to take care of a baby. Life was starting to feel calm, peaceful. But one day, while I was out on an errand, a group of burly men suddenly broke into our home. Without a word, they knocked Julia unconscious and crudely bundled her into a car. When Julia woke up, she was tied to an operating table. The surgical light above cast a cold glare. Victoria stood before her, her face a mask of cold fury. "Victoria, what are you doing?" Julia's heart pounded in her chest. Victoria's face was covered in a frosty chill, her voice like ice. "Julia, the bastard in your belly cannot be born." "Let me go," Julia screamed. "Victoria, you can't do this to me. This is my child. You have no right to decide its fate. But the child is my husband's." Victoria gripped Julia's shoulders, her tone frigid. "Julia, I will not allow you to give birth to this bastard. If this child is born, it will bring shame to both the Vance and Cole families. Don't worry, a DNC is quick. Soon, your little mistake will be meeting its maker." "Victoria," Julia struggled, roaring with rage. "You were the one who cheated first. You were the one who wronged Ethan. What right do you have to interfere in our lives?" Victoria was completely deaf to her anger, her voice cold. Julia, you can scream your throat out today, but your child will die." As she spoke, two men in white coats approached with a syringe, preparing to inject Julia. Julia fought desperately, her screams raw. "Victoria, stop. This is Ethan's child. Don't make him hate you. I don't care if he hates me. This bastard cannot live." The cold needles slowly pierced Julia's skin, sending a sharp sting through her. When I got home, I found Julia gone. I immediately checked the security footage and saw she'd been taken by Victoria's men. I gathered a large group of my own guys and rushed to the hospital. Just as the cold instrument was about to be inserted into Julia's body, I kicked down the door to the operating room. "Victoria, you touch her again and I swear to God." My men rushed in, clashing with the doctors. In the end, Victoria's people were no match for mine. They were left beaten on the floor, bruised and bleeding. I immediately untied Julia and pulled her into my arms, my voice trembling. "Julia, are you okay?" "I'm okay." Julia shook her head, still terrified. I picked her up and strode out. Victoria grabbed the hem of my shirt, trying to stop me. "Ethan, don't go." I gave her a look of pure disgust, my face blank. "Victoria, let's get a divorce." "Why?" Victoria's eyes were red, still trying to hold on. "Ethan, I was wrong." "Okay, I'll break it off with Ryan. Come back to me. Please, we can start over. You used to love me so much." Yes, I did used to love her. We were childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. From the moment I first understood what love was, my world revolved around her. I chased her for over a decade, gave her everything, thinking one day I could win her heart. But only now did I realize that my years of devotion were nothing but a joke. She was never worthy of my love. "I don't love you anymore," I said, turning my head away coldly. "Victoria, I'm not going to love you again. Just consider the last decade of my life a complete waste." After leaving the hospital, I filed for divorce. The news of our impending divorce eventually reached Mrs. Vance. The matriarch summoned both me and Victoria to the family estate in the opulent Great Hall. Her expression was stern and heavy. "Ethan, I hear your sight has returned. This should be a joyous occasion. Why on earth are you divorcing Victoria?" I paused for a moment, then told her the truth. "Grandma, I got another woman pregnant." The matriarch's eyes tightened, her brow furrowing deeply. "Ethan, there's a limit to throwing a tantrum. How can you joke about your own reputation? You and Victoria were childhood sweethearts. You've always been so close. How could you possibly betray her?" "I'm not joking," I said calmly, handing her a stack of photos. "But Grandma, Victoria was the one who cheated first. She was fooling around with another man for 2 years while I was blind. To make it easier for her to carry on her affair, she had her best friend impersonate her and live with me under the same roof for 2 years. That's how this baby came to be." "What did you say?" The matriarch's hands trembled as she took the photos. She looked at image after image of Victoria and Ryan Sinclair in various intimate situations, and she began to see, her chest heaving with rage. "You wretched girl!" She lifted her cane and brought it down hard on Victoria's back. "You animal! How could you do something so monstrous? Ethan has loved you for so many years. He's been completely devoted to you. How could you, without a conscience, fool around with another man?" Victoria took the blows without a word, her eyes red as she sobbed. "Grandma, I was wrong. I was out of my mind. I'll change. I promise I'll change. Please, can you talk to Ethan for me? I don't want to divorce him." "You still have the nerve to speak." The matriarch slammed her hand on the table, roaring, "You shamelessly did this to him, and you have the gall to ask for his forgiveness. If I were you, I'd be so ashamed I'd dig a hole and bury myself in it. Our family has no room for such a shameless creature. I'm going to beat you to death today and get justice for Ethan." With that, the matriarch raised her cane again, striking Victoria's back over and over. Blood began to seep through the back of Victoria's dress, but she remained silent. That day, Victoria was beaten severely by the matriarch. She ended up with a fractured femur and 2 broken ribs. Under the matriarch's unyielding pressure, Victoria was forced to sign the divorce papers. As I was leaving the estate, the matriarch apologized to me, her face full of shame. "Ethan, this is a family disgrace. The Vance family has wronged you. I've watched you grow up since you were a boy, and I've always been so fond of you. It's my granddaughter who has failed. From now on, even if you're no longer my grandson-in-law, you will always be my honorary grandson. Our bond won't be broken by this. If you ever face any hardship in your life, you can always come back and find this old woman for help." I knelt on the floor and bowed my head respectfully to her. "Grandma, please take care of yourself." The day we went to the courthouse to finalize the divorce, Victoria arrived in a wheelchair pushed by a bodyguard. She had also brought Ryan Sinclair with her. 2 bodyguards held Ryan, forcing him to kneel before me and bow his head in apology. Tears streamed down Ryan's face as he sobbed, "I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. I shouldn't have provoked you. I shouldn't have lied about you." Victoria watched him cower repeatedly, her face devoid of its usual affection, only cold indifference. "Ethan, I've checked the security footage. At Grandma's birthday, he deliberately provoked you. And at the hospital, he fell into the fountain himself. He slandered you, and he deserves to apologize. And what about you? I found it laughable. Victoria, are you blameless in all this?" Victoria froze for a second, then gave a sudden, self-mocking laugh. "You're right. The person who should be apologizing the most is me." She suddenly raised her hand and slapped herself hard. "Ethan, I was wrong. I shouldn't have deceived you. I shouldn't have betrayed your love. I deserve this." As she kept slapping herself, she broke down, burying her face in her hands. "Ethan, I regret it. I thought Ryan was the one I couldn't let go of. But it wasn't until you left that I realized you were more important to me than he ever was. I'm such an idiot. I had to lose everything to finally regret it." I sighed. What was the point of regret now? "Victoria, let's just part on good terms." I expected her to argue, but she cooperated fully and we went through the proceedings. Soon we had our divorce decree. Outside the courthouse, Victoria's eyes were red-rimmed. She asked in a hoarse voice, "Ethan, I broke things off with Ryan. In the future, can we still be friends?" I shook my head. Just as I was about to speak, a cool, low voice came from behind me. "You could just give up on that idea." Julio walked over slowly, her face full of scorn. "Victoria, don't grovel like some pathetic puppy. It's cheap. If you have that much energy, go comfort your precious old flame. The father of my child isn't buying your act." Victoria glared at Julia, who had appeared out of nowhere, gritting her teeth in anger. "Julia Reed, you homewrecker, what are you so proud of?" Julia linked her arm with mine, looking back at Victoria with a triumphant, gloating smile. "By the way, your great love just had a little breakdown and jumped from the 3rd floor of the mall. He's now paralyzed from the waist down, lying in a hospital bed. Shouldn't you be running along to comfort him?" After Victoria left, Julia let go of my arm and suddenly pulled a small booklet from her blazer pocket. A marriage license application. She looked into my eyes, her expression serious. "Ethan, since we're already here, why wait? Why not make an honest woman out of the mother of your child?" I looked at the application in her hand, a small smile playing on my lips, but I didn't answer right away. Julia took a deep breath, her expression solemn, and spoke with great gravity. "Ethan, Victoria was right. I am a scheming, awful person. I've been after my best friend's husband. Did you know I loved Victoria for over a decade? But I've been secretly in love with you for just as long. The first time Victoria introduced you to our group of friends was when she was 20. I fell for you instantly. But for all these years, you only ever had eyes for her. You never even saw me. You chased after her for so long, and I was just heir to you. Every time I saw you fawning over her, I was so jealous. I thought I'd go insane. But there was nothing I could do. Luckily, thank God, that idiot Victoria didn't know what she had. She treated a scumbag like a treasure and gave me my chance. Ethan, will you marry me? I swear I will love and protect you for the rest of my life. I will never betray you. I swear all my life. I will make you and our child the happiest people in the world." Julia's speech left me completely stunned. I never knew that this woman, the ice queen of our circle, who seemed so cool and untouchable, had been quietly in love with me for so many years. But all those years, I was so focused on Victoria, I never paid attention to any other woman. I never noticed her feelings for me. Julia was better than Victoria in every way. How could I have been so stupidly blind to everyone but Victoria? Looking back, I really was a fool. I paused and smiled. Well, what's done is done. Even if I wanted to refuse, the baby in your belly wouldn't agree. Besides, Julia, proposing is a man's job. I pulled out a ring and got down on one knee. Julia Reed, will you marry me? Julia was overcome with joy, nodding through her tears. I will. We walked right back into the courthouse and got our marriage license. That night, on our wedding night, Julia took the lead, unbuttoning my shirt, her lips pressing an almost reverent kiss to my throat. Ethan, do you know I wanted to do this to you for so long? You have no idea how hard it was to hold back for the last 2 years. I wrapped my arms around her neck and kissed her lips. From now on, you can do whatever you want. You never have to hold back again.